hope you're all in good health and everything that you've done has been successful, because that's what we want. You want success all the way through. Now,
as I say, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Do you know what, guys? It feels like a Tuesday to me. Okay.
This has been one hell of a week, and you know what? Every day just seems to just merge into another day. So
exactly. So
happy Monday.
Happy Monday, everybody. Hope the week has started fine for you all. Obviously today, hopefully you have been looking at the group, and we are going to speak to two wonderful people who are partners and doing a lot within the community regarding training, coaching, holding events, etc. for the for the diaspora and others
and
as
all
well.
others.
All
yeah.
right? So it's a pleasure for us to introduce to you this evening on tonight's live stream, Brenda Drummond and Livingston Gilchrist from MLB Solutions, Learning Solutions. So here we go. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, guys. Good evening.
Hi, Brenda. Where's Livingston?
Hey, good to be here. Hey. Good to be here.
I can't see you at the moment.
I can see you
again.
I can see you.
Oh, I can see you, Brenda. I don't seem to see
Livingston.
There
you go.
I think you might be lagging just slightly.
Okay.
But never mind.
You know that advert with the kitchen where the woman freezes and then the cat
Lovely to see you both.
Lovely to see you both. You know, we've kind of met at a point where you have gone ahead of where we are as Black Business Recommendation, but it's a good learning tool because we can see the progress you've made, and you've been there for a while. So before we do anything, without further ado, we'd like to ask you both, who are you? In the true, inevitable Arsenal style. Who are ya?
So you're a gooner, are you? Okay, well, it's important.
No.
I am.
You just swore at me.
Brenda's a gooner as well. So Brenda, after you.
Well, I'm good. I've got a fellow gooner on.
There you go.
So, as you said, my name's Brenda, and I really want to just say thank you for inviting us onto the show today. I've been actually watching the show, and you've had some really interesting guests come on. So I was really honoured to be part of this evening. So I suppose let me just start a little bit about myself. And I'm one of the co-founders of MLB Learning Solutions. We've been going now since 2009, and we've been doing training. So as you quite rightly said, we've been working in the community, mainly based in North London. And what we've been doing is doing business startup training, development training, career coaching for many people within the community. And I'll just start off with the bit that I do, and Livingston will share a little bit more about within the company. Because I'm going to start off with how I came to actually come to be part of MLB Learning Solutions, because when prior to actually starting the organisation, I had a long banking career, left banking, and then actually decided to become a business advisor. And there's a whole story behind that, but if we've got time, I'll share that with you.
We'll do a bit later.
We'll do it later on.
So, when I actually teamed up with Livingston, it was the part of business development, business startup. I've got a passion to really help people, to empower them to really make good decisions about their business idea, because many people have business ideas. Yeah, they've got great business ideas, but they don't have the foundation or the know where to start, how to start. That was really what I do, is I just try and put it in a format that demystifies the starting a business and all of those things, but also giving them the reality check of what that means within the business. So that's my expertise, the actual business startup side of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's wonderful. Wow.
Thank you.
We'll be coming back and
We'll be back. From banking to business. Okay. All right. So, Livingston, what about you, sir?
Okay, well, thank you. There's a term we use in business called pause for effect. I want to just give a pause after what Brenda said, just marinate and soak in. You know how it is. So my background, prior to meeting Brenda and starting MLB, I was working for a large corporate in the training side of things, heading up the training department. And my role was essentially ensuring that staff right across the organization were trained. So I was responsible for not only delivering training, but also coordinating training activity, training other staff members so their colleagues would be trained accordingly, writing induction plans, putting together interviews, etc. So when Brenda and I met, we looked at our complementary skills, as Brenda explained, ex-banker, and also a very established business advisor. My background is life coaching and personal development and training. So with that, we looked at our skills and we then formed MLB. And just for reference, MLB stands for Mentoring, Life Skills and Business. Just in case anyone wants to know what MLB stood for.
That was coming next.
We were coming.
That was coming.
There you go. There you go. It's all about preempting. So that's like a quick, in a nutshell, what I'm about, where I'm coming from. And of course, we'll share more as we go through.
Okay. So in terms of your experience and education to bring you to this point, can I start with you, Brenda, as in the banking and the advising banking? So where next from that point? What made you decide to stop at that point and, try out something different?
Many things, actually. So you might know from my accent, I come from Hackney, and so when I left school, I was one of those people. I didn't really know what to do, so I ended up in banking. 20 years later, I was in banking, and it got to the stage where I got to the age of 40, and someone said to me, "Oh, Brenda, you've got another 20 years, and you can retire." And I said, another 20 years in something that I don't really love to do. I thought that's not really my cup of tea. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but it was that decision. I know that it was that particular decision at age 40 that I needed something different. Anyway, I started on this journey because I actually within the bank I actually got a job as a business advisor, a business manager, so a business assistant, then a business manager, and I loved this. I loved to see where someone would come in, open an account, and be in business and grow a business. Yes, to say. But then also what happens to me, some businesses succeed and some businesses do not. And a lot of it is because they don't get advice. So that's where I saw my way out of the bank, because I made connections and I just left bank and just was lucky enough to get a job as a business advisor. Helping out. So for 2 years, and I saw that as my apprenticeship of actually starting our own business, our own organisation, because helping people to start their business, what is actually knowing somebody directly by myself, actually, helping to start a business ourselves. So a lot of experiences that I share now with our clients is our own experience of starting and developing a business, but also helping others through that experience of actually helping others and seeing their experiences as we go along. So that's how I.
Just for one moment. Sorry, everybody, if it seems like we're lagging a bit. Nothing out of our control today. It's just maybe the connections, which we don't know why. But obviously, you can hear everybody very well. So it's the knowledge that you're hearing. And if you can just bear with us with that, I'm sure that the nuggets of information will be shared.
Will flow through.
And will flow.
So, Brenda, I just want to get back to the question of you, in your words, where you actually saw that there was information that needed to be imparted on people who are starting a business. Did you actually see any kind of, in terms of your own, witnessing that the information wasn't going in the right way, and how do you formulate that information so someone could understand it? Was that something that you identified to then move on to support people?
Yeah, there's a number of different things. Can I maybe three things? So,
by all means.
I know. So yes, a lot of it is about actually knowledge. Yes. So when we talk about knowledge, it's knowing, how the system works. So I'm going to say, accessing resources, being able to understand that there's a system that for you to be able to qualify, say, for, let's say, finance or fund, there are some things that you have to have in place. So understanding those components is important. So it's also how treat your business. And I'll say now, communities, the black community, we're just as creative and just as entrepreneurial as anyone else. But
even more so to a degree.
Sorry?
Even more so to a degree. Even more
absolutely.
So to a degree, because we have to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. However, sometimes what we're not prepared to do, and sometimes it's about not asking the right questions, asking the right people for that help. So again, that can be something that holds us back. But also, the fact is that business self-discipline. It needs to a business needs somebody with a great mindset to be resilient, self-disciplined, being able to do what it takes, whatever it takes to keep moving forward.
Okay. So
people, because we have got great ideas, we haven't got the confidence to push forward with that, and the resilience to keep going, even when there are going to be challenges that we're faced. And in a way, that's where Livingston helps with that, focusing on the mindset side of things, to push through. Because it's kind of straightforward, because also sometimes the system makes it very complicated. It sounds very complicated, but actually when you simplify it and just break it down to something that is doable, you say.
Yeah, we're sort of losing you a little bit there, Brenda.
We're losing you a bit.
We'll come back to you, because obviously we want to hear a little bit more about that side. But Livingston, LG, if we can come to you.
Yes, I think it will be a natural flow to say, from Brenda's words, we have heard that you are the person who would take on board from that holistic aspect of what you do to actually get that person to be in the right mind frame or mindset to actually take on board the challenges that are business. So how do you do that, and your experience and
From your
from your
experience.
experience?
Well, just to go, if I may go, just go back to what Brenda said earlier. A couple of things. One is working to your strengths. Within business, the discipline that's required is, for example, we could use Brenda and I. We, in the early days, would be literally duplicating and replicating because we're getting to know each other as business partners. And also, we both come from a corporate background, so we had a wealth of skills, knowledge, and experience. And it is important when working together in business to establish that understanding that certain skills, although shared, we need to put focus to one individual who has greater skill, greater knowledge. And that's what we learned as business partners. It also means that we can be more effective and more productive, because when inquiries come into MLB, for example, prior to the lockdown, we had office space and we were in a physical office well, goodness, I was gonna say 24/7, because there's some days we did some long hours, trust me. And what was nice was that, clients would come in. We always had an open door policy. So therefore, someone who came to our office would never see a closed door. And by virtue of that, we'd always be very inviting. And whatever they asked us, we always had an answer for. Either we had the solution within our organization, or we can signpost them to associates who could help them in that respect. So we learned very early on how to work together cohesively and effectively. Another thing to be mindful of in terms of business is, as Brenda mentioned, having the right mindset. It's fair to say that entering into business, many people, including Brenda and I, we have these wonderful dreams and aspirations that we saw the vision, the future for MLB. The reality is that you have to come down to earth with a bump very quickly, in the sense that the aspiration doesn't always match the reality. And where Brenda mentioned about the emotional resilience, I work with individuals to build that strong, positive mindset. It goes without saying that we're all human and we will be impacted by different things. But how can we cultivate that emotional intelligence that says, look, this is my objective. I need to find a way. How do I develop that solutions focused, that objective focused mindset, rather than seeing obstacles, seeing problems, and having those things knock us back? So it's building that mindset, overcoming challenges. We go through processes in psychology, using examples where we can demonstrate what works in reality, as opposed to taking this hit it and hope for the best approach. An example I'll give you, right? I'll give you an example. When it comes to goal setting, Brenda and I always ensure, I say Brenda and I, MLB as a business, we always ensure that whoever we work with, we're very clear that we will support, we'll encourage, we'll guide, but you will do the work. At the end of the day, if it's your business, I'm not here to work on your business and do things for you. I'll work with you. We work with the client and we help them to achieve their objectives. They have us as mentors, they have us as guides, they have us as coaches. And we're there to show them, okay, this is a way around it, this is a way through it, this is a way over it. However, it's all about how do we get to that end goal. You may have heard of the SMART principles, SMART, specific, measurable, action-oriented, and T, time-bound. And we added another dimension, which is ER. And we look at other ways of ensuring that success is having a greater chance of being achieved. It's about setting very clearly defined goals and having manageable, achievable targets. Nothing worse than setting these fantastic goals and they're unattainable. So we work with clients to demonstrate how you can ensure you have all the resources at your disposal. It's not solely about you as an individual. Who can you call upon? And when it comes to, for example, answering the 5 W's, again, I'm sure you're familiar with the who, what, why, when, where,
Yeah.
And all of that, when you answer those 5 W's, leads to the how. So many
Yeah.
people, when it's setting objectives, try to figure out, how am I going to do this? Stop. Just stop. Don't worry about the how. Answer the 5 W's. It's a standard discipline, and it can be applied in business and in personal life, and it works. So that's how Brenda and I work cohesively to ensure that we build the individual in terms of their resolve, their mindset, their objective, their focus, and Brenda will come in with all the business advice and support and guidance that the person needs to get to that end goal.
That is a wonderful articulated answer, because it says a lot about how you two work in terms of, you know, the overall onus of the. Wow, Brenda has disappeared.
We've lost
See,
Brenda.
See how Brenda's just
Hopefully
disappeared.
She will come back.
Yeah, she'll come back in. Right.
Yeah, the ethos of how you both work, you know, as a business, that is really good, because what we actually realize for ourselves is that we sit down and we always discuss which way we're going to go, and the ambition. I mean, you could see it's a skyscraper tall, but the reality is we're opening up the door at the basement to carry on going up. So, you know, it's about bringing those two, making those two, you know, attaining that kind of direction that we want to go to, and eventually moving forward and being realistic about it. So I like what you say, is that you are realistic and you support someone in their business to move themselves gently forward. Yeah.
Yes.
Because a lot of people just say, here's the paper and get on with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would ask the both of you really, how do you go about with your clients? So do you set a program with them to work with them over a period of time, or is it more sort of advice based as to where they need to go next?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I'd bring Brenda in on that as well. So the general approach that we take is that the into MLB's support, more often than not, is one of our workshops. So we deliver 3 core workshops: business startup and business growth, and the second is personal development, and the third is career coaching, interview skills. So I'll leave the career coaching to the side for a moment. We focus on the person building and, of course, the business. So when a client comes into MLB, they attend a 2-day workshop for business or personal development. And within the package, they get a one-to-one at the end of it. The reason why we take that approach is because if you imagine, when we engage with the client, it's easy to spend the first hour just talking about who they are, what they want, who we are, what we do. So by delivering information in a workshop format, it's 2 days of a lot of generic information that can be applied to any business. So those are the business foundational and fundamental essential information that's required. So given that the person has a grounding, following on from that that workshop, they can then determine, of all the things you shared with me, Brenda, I'd like you to focus on finance or business planning or specific things. And by virtue of that, they then get more out of the engagement rather than spending an hour, and so on. So that's the initial approach. They then can choose to engage us for one-to-one, a package of 3, package of 5, or ongoing business support. And this is where Brenda can come in to share a bit more about what we do in terms of business enhancement.
No, wonderful. Yeah.
With the business enhancement service, it's really because whilst I've had many years of business advice, I would be helping others through working with other organisations. I do feel that my business coach, what happens there is that we, depending on what the client needs, we have an initial one-to-one analysis, etc. And if I can set the client, it might be quite a journey with them. It's 6 months a year that I can see actually we it's going to be taking a little while, or it could be that they just need a few sessions to get package it slightly differently. But what I do is to
Brenda, you're breaking up a little bit there, and what you're sharing is really important. I don't know if your connection or anything. Yeah, it is. And you're sharing such great information. We don't want to lose any of that.
Okay, what I could do, whilst Brenda's signal, I trust will tighten up and be crystal clear, just to continue what Brenda was saying. So and I say Brenda specifically because, again, when you're working in business with business partners, you learn to stay in your lane.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So as much as I do provide business advice, I've run several businesses over the years prior to starting MLB. I always ensure that anyone who comes to us for business advice and business support, they go to Brenda. One, because she's our principal business advisor, and secondly, she has greater knowledge than I do. And by virtue of that, we always ensure that the person looking to develop their business ideas or business itself, they spend time with Brenda. Brenda's also saying that the business enhancement service, she will determine through the initial consultation with the client what that journey looks like. That could be one-to-one end of, it could be once a week, once a month, and they determine what's ideal for that person's needs.
Right.
Recently, we've had a number of clients engaging with us. Sorry, go ahead.
Just a moment. In terms of they determine, what you mean is, are you saying that both Brenda and the client will sit down and work out exactly what's required and then determine which way to go?
Absolutely. Our role is not to tell the client what they need. Our role is to listen actively and then determine. For example, if we have coaches watching your live stream now, coaches will tell you that all we do is ask questions. We have a wealth of knowledge and experience that we can impart. However, we ask questions because it's important to listen to what the client's needs are. There are times where, and I'm being very professional and respectful by saying, there are times where the client is not even clear what they do want. Right. So we have to ask questions to determine what their needs are, and then we'll then relay that back to them. Is this what you're looking for? Is this what I believe your needs are? And through that dialogue, we then determine how we can go forward. The client will be, advised that potentially you might need 2 or 3 sessions. However, we can begin with just 1, and they will then determine how they go forward from there. I now see Brenda's movement rather than a frozen picture. So Brenda, I think you're really connected well. So I was just talking about how you engage with the client to determine how many sessions they might need, whether it's a one-off, 2 or 3 sessions, or ongoing over a period of time. So back to you.
You've just said everything. And that's it. And sessions are, sometimes the package will include meetings, arranged maybe once a month, or what sometimes happens, the client will need a few different meetings. Might not only be once a month, it might be telephone, Zoom meetings, or face to face. I can cover a number of different business, so often helping people around pricing and cash flow forecasts, etc. And also, as I said, helping people to understand and all of those things. It's also sometimes I'm helping the client to just the basics.
We're going through the same. Yeah, we're missing every other word.
Yeah, sorry, Brenda.
Livingston, can you do us a favor?
Certainly.
Switch off your mic. We'll switch off ours and let Brenda speak and see if that helps.
There's a positive, because it is the signal that's the issue here.
So switch off your mic, and when you're ready to speak, then you switch on yours. Yeah.
Okay. May I first ask, because I can see the setup, I should just click on the mic, shouldn't I?
Yeah,
and that
just click
should.
the mic, and that will mute it. Yeah. Brenda, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just Again, your signal is quite low. So
Yeah.
you know,
I
we
know
don't
I'm
want
getting, yeah, I know I'm getting messages that is not, but hopefully you can still hear me. In that I said that I would off the right side of things,
Yeah.
and also the business strategy.
So in terms,
Yeah.
yeah, your signal's really poor. So oops, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, unfortunate.
Okay.
This is so unfortunate, really.
Ah, that's it. You're better now. Come straight in. Come straight in.
No, go ahead, let Livingston talk.
No, you
I don't want to
you are
distract
straight
it.
in there, so we're all good
Yeah.
now.
Right. So
So may
that's
I ask
what we
you-
do. That's what we do.
So may I ask you then, do you support people in terms of creating their business plan, and how do you do that? Because one of my fears is that giving someone a business plan and giving them, explaining to them what you need to do, and then giving them a sheet of paper and say, giving them the booklet paper, and then saying to them, come back in 2 weeks and we'll discuss it. Well, I'm telling you this now from my experience. 2 weeks means that you just stop my business because you've blown my mind. I can't think straight because this thing needs to be sorted.
So how do you
do
go
that?
around? Yeah, not scaring them half to death by looking at all of these questions, and how do you help them navigate that whole process?
Okay.
That's both of you. So Livingston can answer, and then yourself, Brenda.
You can all take a chunk.
All right. Well, I know that business planning is one of those daunting things for most entrepreneurs. And we have a number of different templates that we can share with our client. And how I've worked with a client is that depending on, how comfortable they are with doing a business plan, I usually say to them, start with this section, usually a bit about yourself and the products and services, because you can do that, right? I usually say you can do that. And then you know about yourself and you know about your services. And then I usually say my tip for actually following through with the business plan is I'll say start with those two and then keep going. Use the template to fill the gaps. And then I know where your gaps are in either knowledge or, abilities to be able to complete the areas. So I fill the gaps in. I helped to fill the gaps. That's how I do. Yeah.
Okay.
So with that being said, Livingston, based on your support of that person to build them up to face those questions, do you sort of help them to take that step as well? Because it's one thing for Brenda to give the information to help them to start, but it's still that fear factor of that document in front of them and them needing someone to just hold their hand. Is that something that happens where you're concerned?
Yes, it is. I'm going to ask you to do something for me. Just hold your hand up, whichever hand, left or right.
Oh, okay.
I think I better hold the right. So you can...
Right. Now, how many fingers are visible?
How many
5.
fingers?
5.
5.
What are your 5 senses? Just name them for me. Each time you name one, put a finger down. So
taste,
hearing,
sound,
yeah,
taste, smell,
yeah,
sight,
taste,
sight.
And
what's the last one?
Touch.
Okay, right. The reason why I share that with you, is because so often when people, clients or others, they set their goals, it's aspirational, we desire it. One of the things, amongst many things, of course, but one of the things I help people to understand is if you truly want something, differentiate between want and need. When it comes to your business and you're going to commit yourself to your business, it has to be a need, not a want. A want is nice to achieve. If you don't get it, okay, not so bad. A need is absolutely essential. And the reason why I asked to connect your five senses, I help clients to focus on their goals, and I'll do some work with them to visualize the goal. And in order to experience it and make it as tangible as possible, I say connect your senses. What does success smell like, taste like, feel like, sound like? Yep. And then the one sense that is not physical or tangible, what's your sixth sense? Your gut. Yep.
Yeah.
That feeling that only you know as an individual. When I started working with Brenda, I'm one where I'm structured. I've got to think a certain way, do certain things, and have things in place. And Brenda said, let's just get on with it. Come on. I'm feeling this. I had to learn to trust that gut feel more than I did before, because working with Brenda is something that Brenda has innately. And I'm sure, Lorraine, you relate to this, because women tend to be more intuitive than men. I'm not putting us down, by the way, Hugh. Us brothers, we got it going on as well.
Yeah. We all have our strengths.
I'm hearing you. I'm not happy with you. I'm hearing you.
We all have our
You're hearing
strengths.
me. And the thing, if I may say, there's another word that I work with clients to identify with, and it is the feel. I want people to feel. So when we work towards objective setting and goal setting, Brenda works on the structure, the essential components required to be successful in business, and what a person needs to do to lay the foundation. So many people want to get there immediately. The reality is life isn't like that. You ask a lot of young people, what do you want to be? What do you aspire to be? I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be an influencer, and so on. In other words, get rich quick. Life is not about getting rich quick. It's about being there for the journey. Hence why we work with clients to focus on the journey and getting all the building blocks in place to lay a solid foundation. The mind, the heart aligned to enable them to achieve those goals. So whilst Brenda works on how to do things in business, I work with clients who work on how they could build themselves to be ready to fight through, overcome, and keep going. That resilience is fundamental in business.
That's wonderful. Now I've got another question for you.
Yep.
We have been speaking about the client, and so we can say a particular person. But you guys have done a lot more than that. You have been doing the group work and the analysis to ensure, what you're doing, you're delivering it to many people. So can you explain some of the other areas of work that you actually do within the community and beyond?
Yes, I'll share something, and then Brenda could come in as well. There's a term used a few years back when someone referred to MLB as social entrepreneurs, because we're a social enterprise.
Yeah.
And we were referred to as social entrepreneurs, and I wasn't sure what they meant. And they said, "Oh gosh, you've worked with so many people in the community to build their businesses, their social enterprises, and therefore you are a social entrepreneur, where you help work with others to build them." Now, with regards to what we have already shared, there are a number of activities that we get involved with. For example, since the inception of MLB, in fact, I'm going to go back slightly to give you a little insight. So 2008, December, I was working, I said prior to that, in the corporate world. 2007, 2008 was the previous recession, if you recall. And my company, the one I was working for, sadly went out of business. So the struggle for me and many others was that we were laid off, made redundant 2 weeks before Christmas in 2008. So I, like a lot of people, had to learn to swallow my pride, because I'm, on this wonderful trajectory for my business, also for my career, leading to senior management. Everything's going really, really well. And then bam, within 1 hour of a meeting in a warehouse, we're told we've got 1 hour to leave the building. We had company cars, mobile phones, the lot. And we were told, be at home tomorrow, have your keys ready. The lease company going to come and collect your company car. So it was brutal. It was brutal.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you do? One, I signed on at the job center because I knew I had a mortgage, et cetera, and no income coming in. So I signed at the job center. The second thing I did, I would say to the clients, whilst you're between jobs, there's no such thing in our vocabulary as unemployed. You're between jobs or between opportunities. Volunteer and keep yourself active until such time that you are engaged again in whatever capacity. By volunteering, that's where I met Brenda. So had I not volunteered, Brenda and I, our paths would not have crossed in that way. And by virtue of that, when we're working in the community, for example, having signed at the job center, the advisor that I was assigned said to me, whatever you want to do, you can. Because I said to her, I got jaded, I got fed up with the corporate world and being on that treadmill. So she said, well, yes, you can start a business, just decide how and what you're going to do. By meeting Brenda, we were then able to establish that we had mutual complementary skills, and we started the business. We actually printed or designed on our computer and printed on a photocopier a leaflet, gave it to the job center, and they kindly then referred their clients to us. I was still at the job center when we started MLB. That's our reality.
Look at that.
And we started this business with zero money, zero. When you have a belief and you have skills and your research has shown you there's a demand for your services, that's how you got to follow it through. So we do a lot of community work. We do a lot of free activities. In fact, we've had over close to 5,000 clients come to us via Job Center Plus. And where we are under contract, we get paid. And there are times where a person who's unemployed or unwaged, they come to us. We don't charge because we want to help as many people as we can. So it is about putting yourself out there and supporting in other ways as well.
That is fabulous. You know, I think, Brenda, what say you? Because you've been silent now because working with him, starting up this business. So
how was that?
How did that start for you from your end? How did you manage to meet him at that spot?
Yeah.
Well, so going back to, I left the bank, was then working in Tottenham. I got a job as a business advisor, and I was helping people start up in business. But then there was something resonating in me to say, actually, I'm giving all of this advice to people to start their own business, but I'm not, what's the word?
Applying what you know.
That's the one. Yeah. You know, that I'm not the one, I'm not actually starting my own business. Yeah. And so, you know, they say what you start to think about, what you start to say kind of manifests itself and attracts the right people. Yeah. So, because it all starts with your thoughts. It does always starts with your thoughts. And so, again, it's just one of those things that I was talking to someone, and I said, you know, I'd really like to actually go part-time now and start my own business, my own consultancy, and run it alongside what I do. And this young lady said, actually, I want to do something with women, and would you want to volunteer for my program? As such, I said, great, I can do some training, business training. And Livingston was volunteering on the other side with this young lady. And so it was then a case of, actually, our paths had met. And up to that stage, I have to say that even at that stage, I don't think we really thought about actually starting a business together. So initially there was three of us. There was actually three of us, because this lady had actually said, you know, maybe it's something that we could do together. And we always joke about this, that it was in the the back of Livingston's car that we made the decision to start a business.
World conquering.
So we started a business. So the three of us was there saying, okay, what do we do? How do we do this, etc. And it started from there. And, you know, sometimes actually people come into your lives just for a season. They say for a reason and for a season. And, you know, the lady that we're referring to stepped out of the business, decided to take her own path. But we decided to say, actually, we've got complementary skills. We can still do this. So we carried on. And as I said, that was many years ago now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. I will come back, though, to ask, obviously, you both know which side of the business. Was that a natural thing for the both of you to identify? You know, which side of the business you both were able to handle?
How long did it take you to get to that point, identifying who does what and who's washing the dishes as well?
Well, let me just share something with you, because you might be able to relate to this. When we started the business, interestingly, our first office was in one of my rooms in the study. So we've got desks in there, and Brenda and our ex-business partner came to the house, and there we were. And as we were getting to know each other and getting to understand our strengths, our weaknesses, our skills, etc., we coined the phrase, one person thinks it, one person says it, and I end up doing it. So, two women and a guy, we kind of learned how to work well with each other. And interestingly, in terms of our areas of responsibility, we brought certain skills to the table, and those skills were strong. And interestingly, although our ex-business partner moved on in the early days, Brenda and I had the ability to, I guess, fill that gap that was left. And because we, as I said, we have complementary and crossover skills that we, when early days, we identified, for example, like running the office. Brenda said, Livingston, that's you. Because I do those things naturally in terms of organization, structure. Brenda, she is more studious, shall we say, in terms of detail. And when it comes to the business, as much as I can do certain things, she's qualified and she's capable and very experienced. My background was in people development. So therefore, the career coaching, the interview skills, all those aspects around career development, that was what I was doing before anyway. And the coaching, the people development, again, that's my skill set. So it goes without saying that it wasn't difficult to determine areas of responsibility, because it just naturally flowed out of how we operated.
Have you found have you found since the lockdown and everything that or should I say since everything started to open again now, have you found that you've had an influx of people coming to you to find out about how to start the business?
Brenda?
Yeah, so we've always had a flow of can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've always had a flow of people having business ideas and wanting to start their own business. Where we've had to pivot is actually move everything online.
Yeah.
Because we were very much, you know, we're people. We like to see people, touch people, hug people. Yeah. And when lockdown happened, there was a period of time that things were quiet and, people weren't knowing what we were doing. But then Zoom became my best friend, as it were, our best friend. And then we said, we can still do this online. Let's try. I'm very pragmatic about let's try something. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we've tried. Yes. So we've had to change how we deliver, and that still works. That has still actually been able to reach more people, because we're probably known very much in the local community, but now we could reach people further afield as well. Yeah.
So here's the question then, in that case, Would you go back to the building?
That's the question.
Oh, that's well, listen, Hugh, if I may say, because where you were talking about how you're developing Black business recommendation, and you're at the early stage, you're a limited company, you're structuring how you go forward. The lesson that Brenda and I have learned, certainly over the last year and a half or more, is that where we had an office before, we had an office and a training room adjoining it.
Yeah.
These are fixed costs. So you have your business rates, you have your rent, etc., etc. And whether you are making enough that month or not, you have those fixed costs to pay. When we moved out of our previous office in February and lockdown happened in March. So I guess it's quite fortuitous that we had moved out prior to lockdown. However, what we then realized is that when lockdown happened, all our business was face to face. So in reality, we were stumped, i.e. we were not able to engage. We were told, like everyone else, stay at home, save lives, usual stuff that they say by the government.
Yeah.
However, we also realized, hang on a second, we don't have any fixed costs in terms of rent to pay for offices. We're working from home. And as Brenda said, we decided to give it a try, move our business online. We'd worked with clients over the years. In fact, we had a couple of sessions. We held an expo in 2019, and one of our speakers spoke about moving from bricks and mortar to online. But not many people would actually grasp the concept. And Brenda and I believing that we had to see people face to face. Trying to deliver workshops online prior to the lockdown was extremely challenging. What lockdown did, it enabled people to recognize that there is another way. So we were led to that by, I guess, good fortune or misfortune in terms of the pandemic, but it also enabled MLB to realize another one of its objectives, which was to become a more global business. Prior to the lockdown, we thought for us to be a global business, we had to travel abroad and deliver training in another country. We recognize through the pandemic, and a lot of other people recognize, that you are a global business if you open yourself up to the world. So that's why we have two websites. One website is around information, who we are, what we do, our courses, our costs, our prices, etc. And the other website is focused around business, the type of support we provide. And by virtue of that, as Brenda said, we've always had a regular inflow of inquiries, clients coming to our door. The same continues. It's just that now we can have clients further afield. So you're not restricted to living in North London or London itself. We have clients from outside London coming to our workshops. So we anticipate in due course, we'll have certain people coming to our workshops from abroad as well. So going forward, we will return to face-to-face in-person training. The difference perhaps would be that rather than taking out fixed premises, we may just rent the space as and when required to then enable us to manage our costs better.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so within that, then I was going to ask you what makes your business so unique, but you are developing the business to a degree where the question I'm asking you again is, what makes your business so unique now that you've seen there are other aspects to it? So what have you thought about that? What makes it so unique?
Okay, if I may I'm going to share something quickly, and then Brenda could come in on that, because Brenda often speaks to clients about their USP, their unique selling point. The USP for MLB has always been, we take the holistic approach to people development. We build the foundation, the person. And so often when business advisors are working with clients, they are talking about business, what their objectives are, what they're going to work towards. What about you, the person? So within MLB, our USP is we take the holistic approach, we'll build the individual, lay a solid foundation, and then if you're pursuing that business path, Brenda's there. If you're pursuing a career path, I'm there. And holistically, the whole thing comes together. Brenda.
You said it fine.
He's beating you to it all the time.
Hey,
I'm sure you can add to that one.
That is exactly what we do, so it's about the person themselves. Yeah.
And also in terms of listening to you both, you've garnished the ability to see the other person's work and to be able to support it, because
Yeah.
it's not just what you do, but you're also aware of what the other person does.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so that creates, filling that void.
Yeah, that synergy,
Yeah.
that also helps the individual, that you're working with, to be the better for themselves
Yeah.
and for their, for the business that they want to either grow or to start. So
Yeah.
it's a really good, a really good thing.
Yeah.
Can I just add, Hugh, I just want to add something else, if I may. I'm being very spontaneous. Sometimes I say things that might
By all
embarrass,
means, because that's what we
it
want
might
to be.
embarrass
That's what we
Brenda, so I'm
are.
going to prepare her for this one. Now, so the reason I'm going to say this is because there's a parallel between business partner and life partner. Yes, I mean, Brenda has her partner, I've got my partner, so we're good in that respect. But the point I'm making is that when you work with someone, it's like having a relationship beyond business, where you learn to accept certain things, you learn to accommodate, you learn to adapt. And the bottom line is, if you come from a place of love and respect, you'll always work towards that solution together. Because as I'm saying this because, of course, Hugh, Lorraine, you're there together as life partners as well as business partners in this respect, in terms of BBR. There are times where you'll face obstacles and challenges, and you have to refer to the other who's going to be stronger than you on that given day or time. There's nothing worse than ego getting in the way. And where Brenda and I are concerned, we had to throw ego out the door. Not to say it was there before, but we learned in the early days very quickly, if you don't like something, say something.
Yeah.
Don't leave it unaddressed, because at the end of the day, it's like a wound, it'll just fester. And as time goes on, you learn to respect each other. You learn to hold each other in high regard. And in the absence of a partner, business or life or otherwise, you're representing that individual. So when it comes to business integrity, that also is fundamental when it comes to the success and the cohesiveness of people working together.
Indeed. Yes.
We should just let him just stay and just go. We can leave. You know what I mean?
And to be fair, that's where he comes in very nicely to do the talking. So
there's one thing I'll say though, Hugh, and I'm sure you and Lorraine understand this, and Brenda knows this for a fact. Whatever I say, I always make sure Brenda has the last word.
You know what? I don't have to make sure, she does. Yeah. At work, I call her she who must be obeyed.
All right.
And my boss knows that, and she will call me and say, she who must be obeyed is on the line.
But at the end of the day, I mean, what you shared there, the both of you, that is so true. And with anyone that might be, will be watching this, throughout the times, will realize, oh, actually, that is something really, really
pertinent,
pertinent
we
to
can
share,
use,
because you do have to have that connection, and it needs to have respect
and the synergy for things to work.
So thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes, like the two of you, suddenly, when you meet,
with the same purpose,
the weird, wonderful way,
and someone is a conduit to make the two of you work together and then decide to move on.
Exactly. And then realize, as you said, become partners, realize exactly what the strengths and so on of each other are, and work that through and go forward. So just sharing that alone, will help a lot of people.
Anyone
who
in
might
business,
find themselves in the same
partnership,
way.
is to actually, the number one thing is to get rid of the ego. Once the ego gets in the way, that's it. Your business done. It's not going to go any further than that. There has to be truth and honesty. You've got to be able to say, hey, I don't know how to do this. What can we do together? Exactly. How can we transfer over that? So my next question for you is, because there's two of you in different planes, but in the same space, what do you see as your legacy? How would you incorporate your legacy for the future? When you're not here anymore, what do you see? Have you thought about the legacy?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah, you see, because we can say legacy no matter what we do. Legacy is for our son and his children and so on. Yeah, because we're in a relationship, so that legacy is automatic.
Yeah.
But for you two, you are in a business relationship, and the question is more pertinent because it may be something that needs to be addressed. Or do you think that that's something that have you thought of that?
Well, I think I would say, to be fair, it's not a question that I've discussed with Livingston, but I'm sure he's got his ideas. I've got mine. But I would say from mine is that I certainly feel that I am living in my purpose. Yeah. So I found the part of my calling that I am addressing and feel fulfilled through that. And I feel that the legacy that I leave is actually impacting other people's lives. Yeah. So, it's great sometimes to hear, because during the lockdown, I contacted some clients from way back, actually, to find out if they're still running their business, etc. And it was heartwarming, really, to say that actually, MLB's helped me, got me started, and 10 years later they're still going. So that's the kind of legacy that I want to still see, that more and more people have got solid businesses and continue to grow so that they can leave a legacy for their children and their children's children. So we are very much that foundation, building the foundation. Because if you don't have a foundation, the house is going to just crumble. So that's how I see. So I just want to know that I see more and more people fulfilling their potential through what we do.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. And you, sir?
I was about to say, I was going to do a Brenda say, she said it all. However, I'll just add a couple more things. I mean, where Brenda said she's living her purpose, and it's absolutely right. I feel the same way, because I think it's important as an adult, a grown person, that we identify what our life purpose is. There are many people, it's not about age. You can identify your purpose as a child or your 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. However, to identify one's purpose and then be able to pursue that, it goes beyond words. It truly is so fulfilling. And we, Brenda and I, identified very early on that what we're doing within MLB essentially is living our purpose. And Hugh, you spoke earlier about legacy. There are two elements to make reference to here. The standard interpretation of legacy is what we leave behind. What Brenda mentioned about living one's purpose, we talk about living our legacy. To hear a person come to us, in fact, last week, in fact, a young lady called us on Monday and said, I've given your details to one of my colleagues who needs some support in a certain way. And that person called, we spoke with her, she booked into our workshop. She's now on a journey with MLB and we're there with her. That's part of our legacy. What was also quite heartwarming was the person who I spoke to, who'd been on our workshop in 2014, sorry, my apologies, 2016, said, I really appreciate the support you gave me in terms of career coaching. I was at my lowest ebb. Whatever you said resonated with me. I got off my backside. I got a job, and my career is progressing really well. I'm now ready where I thought I was in 2016, and I wasn't. I'm now ready to start looking at my business. Can I book onto your workshop? And she's booked onto the workshop for September to see Brenda. So part of the legacy is laying the foundation, and a person may not need or be able to act upon the advice and the guidance we give them at that time.
The here and now.
But to know that we planted the seed, and for them, when they're ready, to know that we're still here to support them, or they've been given enough information and support to go it alone. Legacy for us is what we see manifesting around us all the time. And just to conclude on that, it goes without saying that we are 12 years down the line. We've built a credible business. Brenda has a son, I have two daughters, and the reality is we want to ensure that we can provide for our offspring. so they can see the generational benefits, and they can then step into the business if they so choose and move forward. Brenda and I are working to a stage where we are working in the business less and working on the business more, because we have capable individuals in the team who can actually do what we do currently and replicate us. And that is true legacy building and wealth building. And of course, ultimately, that's how we take things forward.
Oh,
thank you. I think that is a wonderful note to end on.
Yes,
yeah, because that is exactly, what we look for, is that, legacy is not just about where we are, but where our family and friends and associates are, that we can take the next step, and we can step away knowing that it's been properly, those people who are going to take over are properly trained and appropriately measured to the degree that they can take over. So,
and we wish you all the best. But before you go, I just want to make sure that I'm sharing the correct details. If people wanted to contact you guys, I'm putting this information up there. I'm hoping it's right. Would they be able to contact you on this number, or?
Yes. So the office number diverts to the mobile if we're out of the office. So that number is universal, and you can get us on that number at any time. And I believe you have our website details also.
Yes, we do. And we have your website, which I have.
And people remember, anytime don't mean midnight. It's 9 to 5. That's it. Office hours.
The phone calls are office hours. The website is 24/7.
It's 24/7. Yeah. So we obviously we'll be sharing those details again with everyone. But certainly, it's a wonderful, great thing that you guys are doing. And
we will be coming to see you, because we had loads of questions, but I think the natural conversation that we were having is impactful, because it actually says to people, these are the people who are doing something. Get to know them. And if there are further questions, here is the email addresses and the website, and we can interview again. And we can speak specifically about issues or areas that we want to impart information to people. So we'll carry on supporting you and do, as best as we can to ensure that we shine the light on you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much.
So keep going, doing what you're doing. And obviously, people now know the people behind MLB Learning Solutions. And hopefully they'll get a nice insight as to the wonderful people that you are. They know your background now, and they can see your purpose, and you are purposeful in what you're trying to do for everyone. So we applaud you here for that.
Thank you very much.
Continue, and we look forward to speaking to you again. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Our pleasure. So once again, guys, can we say thank you to Livingston, Gilchrist, and Brenda Drummond from MLB Learning Solutions. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Right.
For sure. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys. that was wonderful.
That was lovely company, because, in terms of training, to have people who taking it to the next step where they follow you through and support you all the way. That's the kind of thing that we require, because there are businesses out there who support you. They give you the information, but because it's not followed through, sometimes it goes amiss. And so, remember.
And it's always great. We have many, many, many people like that within as our members and out there that are ready and willing to help you grow your business, or to even start, or even, just figuring things out, along your journey. And that's the reason why we do these shows, because you're seeing the people that are truly
who are there. And they don't get the light shine upon them.
Exactly.
So what we do here is to support
shining that light
as much as we can
for you.
Yeah.
All right.
So
anyway, so let's tell everyone about who's on next week.
Well, next week, we have more education, and it's a business that we absolutely support, because we know the gentleman who actually created the business, and that is Mr. Ziggy Moore, the director, and we'll be talking to him this Monday, the 30th of August. So we want you to join us at 8 o'clock. And
we know it is a bank holiday Monday, but
yeah, we know,
we
and we
know
don't
it's bank
business.
holiday Monday. It
We
doesn't matter.
want to be there for you. So you can watch it on the bank holiday, or you can go and do your thing and carnival, everything,
And watch it on the
and then come
rewind.
back when you're ready.
Okay, so
Yeah?
you'll be able to watch it again on YouTube, our YouTube channel, or on the group if you are on the
If you're on the group,
Black Business Recommendation Facebook group. So we're going to be speaking with Ziggy Moore for more education and finding out more about his company, what he offers, the great tuition that they do. And literally, you can go onto their Instagram page now because they've just had a lovely cohort of children receive wonderful grades.
the higher percentile.
This past week or so. So we'll be speaking to him about the whole spectrum of the education and what he offers. Okay, so we wish you all a
wonderful
great
evening. Take your time and have a great week until we see you again. Take care. Blessing to you all.
Take care, guys. Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.